Hi everyone, I hope you are doing well. I'm back with another Salesforce interview preparation video. In this video, I'm going to discuss few admin scenario based questions. So I'm going to cover some important concepts. We are going to see some scenario based questions and I'm going to explain their answers in detail. So the first question is, a user accidentally deleted some important records. How will you determine who deleted the records and when? And what steps would you take to prevent such incidents in the future? Okay. So there are two parts in the question. So somebody deleted the record in the system. So the first part is to find out who deleted the record and when. And the second part is the steps to prevent this in the future. Now let's discuss the part one. Okay, who deleted and when. Now some of you may think the answer is audit trail. But this is the wrong answer. Audit trail will not show you who deleted the record and when. Okay, because if you see, it is setup audit trail. Setup audit trail only tracks the activities that happen in setup at backend. So setup audit trail is to capture the setup activities, like you changed someone's password, you changed someone's profile, you removed permission set from some user, you assigned some permission set, those kind of activities. Okay, so suppose you updated page layout of some object, you created page layout, you created a custom field. These kind of activities that you do in the setup at the backend, those gets captured in the audit trail, not what you do on the front end in the system. Okay, so suppose I delete a record in the system from UI. Okay, I deleted this record. It's not going to get captured in setup. Okay, now what's the answer to this question then? So this was tricky question. Okay, so interviewers ask such kind of questions to know, have you actually used that feature or function? Okay, because beginner admins can think that audit trail captures everything. Okay, because they are not aware of it and it sounds so synonymous that we get confused and we unknowingly answer audit trail to such questions. But the right answer of this question is recycle bin. Yes, there is recycle bin in Salesforce which stores all the deleted records for some days. Okay, in this app manager I will search recycle bin and I had deleted two opportunities. So you can see those deleted opportunity records are stored in recycle bin. Okay, now there is column deleted by, so you will get the username who deleted each record and when it was deleted. So you will get these kind of information in recycle bin. But again, recycle bin stores that record and lets you restore it till a certain point. In the admin interviews, I don't think such nitty-gritties matter a lot. The basic answer and how do you approach the question and how do you think in that moment of time instead of getting confused between audit trail and other options like validation rules or flow. So choosing the right option is priority over here. Okay, so interviewers are testing that, are you able to select the right tool or right feature or right functionality? Okay, now the second part of this question is, how would you prevent such incidents in the future? Now first thing is, you don't give delete access to all users. Simple. Okay, so the delete button disappears when you don't give delete access. Okay, so certain buttons will be visible if you have the right access and they won't be visible if you don't have the access. Okay, but suppose there is access to all users, let's assume that. In that case, what would you do? Now again, admin will say that we will build validation rule. Again, this is wrong answer, because as of now currently validation rules do not fire on delete event. Okay, they fire on save event. So if you see that there is one open idea on idea exchange that validation rules are not yet supported for delete event. So with the help of validation rules, you can't stop users from deleting records. Then what can you do? The right answer is record triggered flow, which can be configured to give the custom error to the user when he or she is deleting the record. Okay, so you can throw custom error with the help of record triggered flows before someone deletes the record. Okay, so your record won't be deleted. So you can stop users from deleting the records with the help of record triggered flows. Okay, this is the right answer. Let's move on to second question. The sales team wants to have a field on customer account. The value of that field will be the total revenue generated from all related sales orders for a specific customer account. Describe a feature that allows you to perform this calculation efficiently. Suppose this is one account and it has sales order 1, sales order 2. Okay, now revenue generated from sales order 1 is suppose $500 and revenue generated from sales order 2 is suppose $1,500. So the question is, account 1 should show the aggregated value, like the total revenue generated from all related sales order, in this case $2,000. Okay, so the data from all child records should get aggregated on master record or parent record. Okay, now what comes to your mind? Writing Apex class to query all child records and then adding up their total revenues and then finally assign it to field on account object. Does this come to your mind? That way also we can do, but that is not the first preference. First preference is roll up summary. Okay, so the point is, when you see the words like total revenue, especially when there is parent child relationship, okay, there are multiple children of one parent, and from all those records, if you want to summarize something on parent record, in that case you will use roll up summary. Okay, then next question is, a company wants to ensure that sensitive information like salary details is only accessible to HR and the CFO. How will you implement this security requirement in Salesforce? Now you have to restrict users from seeing something or from accessing something, some sensitive information. So the part one is, suppose you have salary object. Okay, now you have to first safeguard this object and its fields. So you have to give the object access and the fields access only to HR and CFO. Now, how to manage object and field access? Through permission sets. In this case, you will create a separate permission set in which you will give the access to the salary object and its necessary fields, and you will assign this permission set to HR and CFO users. Okay, this is the safest way. Now, this is about safeguarding the object access and the fields access. What about record access? Okay, now there are salary records in the system. How to make them private? Now, to keep the baseline access private, you need to set OWD as private first, right? Your organization wide default for salary object need to be private first. Okay, and then you can create sharing rule to open up the access. Okay, so to open up the access of this salary object records, you will create a sharing rule to share those records with HR and CFO. Okay, now why there is no role hierarchy in this whole picture? Because the answer is simple. Suppose HR is reporting to MD, managing director, or some other designation. So in this case, MD may not be related or interested in seeing salary details, because in the role hierarchy you see what your subordinates see. Okay, you see your own records plus the records owned by your subordinates. So that's why the role hierarchy is not in the picture. So this is how you will answer to this question. I will create a permission set containing access to the salary details and then assign it to the HR and CFO. Then I will ensure that OWD is set to private and use sharing rules or manual sharing to grant access to specific records as necessary. Okay. Then the next question is, a company wants to ensure that users can only log in from specified IP ranges. To enhance security, how will you configure login IP ranges in the Salesforce to achieve this? Now, suppose you want to enforce users to log in from some specific location. Okay. To enforce this, you can set IP ranges, but where? Under profile settings. Okay. So for each profile, you can configure different login IP ranges. Okay. Also, you can configure different login hours. Okay. So these types of settings are available in profile. Okay. So if I open any profile in the setup, if you see login IP ranges, so here you can configure the login IP ranges and login hours. Okay. So Salesforce will ensure that users will not be able to log in from outside these IP ranges. Okay. So this was simple. Then the next question is, a company operates in multiple departments and each department manager should have access to the data of their respective department only. How would you design the record access? Answer is role hierarchy. So over here, we will need to create different role hierarchies for each department. Okay. So for department 1, the manager of that department will sit at top. Okay. And this hierarchy will be completely different from department 2, where the manager will be at top. Manager of department 1 will not be able to see the records of department 2, and manager of department 2 will not be able to see the records owned by department 1. Now, how to open up the records to each department. Okay, now how the system will come to know that this record is meant to be seen by department 1 and this record is not meant to be seen by department 2. Now here you need to use the criteria based sharing rule. So to grant access, the criteria should match and you will define that criteria. So I will define my criteria that my department field should match. Okay, so I will set this condition in the criteria based sharing rule. If my department is this, then these records should be shared with that user and with that manager. Okay, so it depends on the department field value, what is populated in that field. Okay, so to summarize the answer, I will create a role hierarchy where each manager sits at the top of their respective departments, and then I would use criteria based sharing rules to grant access. This way each manager would only have access to the data of their respective department. So here the interviewer will try to confuse you between the owner based sharing rule and criteria based sharing rule. But how to identify that? You have to use the criteria based sharing rule. So the hint is, if the differentiator factor is present on the record. So in this case, the differentiator factor between two departments is the department name. And is that populated on the record? Is there a field which represents this value? If there is something like that on the record, then you can go ahead and use criteria based sharing rules, because that's how you can bifurcate those records, right? That's how you will come to know. Okay, so that's all for this video. So we have covered a few tricky questions like that audit trail one and the roll up summary one, and we have covered few easy questions too. So if you have liked this video, press that like button, subscribe to my channel, and share this whole playlist with your friends and colleagues. Thank you.